or you're celebrating the bank holiday, I don't know if it's just in the UK. Whatever. If you are celebrating the bank holiday, I hope you're having a good bank holiday. If not, I hope you're having a good Friday. It's nearly the weekend, but despite it being nearly the weekend, despite it being a bank holiday, there is still plenty of Manchester United transfer news to get into. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's another transfer view. There's more Manchester United transfer news. There's a bit of an update when it comes to Frankie de Jong. I think quite conflicting reports saying that he might be up for sale. He might be transfer listed. Then some people from Barcelona are coming out and saying, well, if we sell him, it's got nothing to do with our economic situation, which might be a bit of gamesmanship, maybe with Manchester United to say, look, I know we're in a bit of trouble when it comes to our finances, but you still have to pay us pretty well for Frankie de Jong. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about another centre-back target that isn't Jurrien Timber. We spoke previously there might be a backup option. We spoke yesterday that Timber might be having some doubts about coming to Manchester United because of the whole World Cup situation of, what if I go down to Man United? I'm sitting on the bench. I might not be on the plane to Qatar with Louis van Gaal and the gang, and I might not be playing. I don't want to miss out, but if I stay at Ajax, I'm definitely going to be at the World Cup, so we might have a backup option when it comes to the centre-back choices. Aaron Wan-Bissaka looks like he's going to be leaving this summer, and United are reportedly waiting for offers, so we're going to talk about that too. New coaches possibly coming into Manchester United as well that aren't just Mitchell van der Gaag and Steve McLaren, so we've got that to talk about. We've got the wage bill that we're going to talk about too. A bit of finance, a bit of morning finance. It's not just transfers, we're talking about finances as well. We're getting very smart this morning, so there's plenty to talk about. What do you think of the new setup? I'm seeing people saying there's no sound. Is there sound, Josh? It's sorted. It's sorted. We're all sorted. It's sorted. It's fine. What do you think of the new setup, though? Look at this. Look at all the graphics. Of course, I cannot see them, but it is very smart. Big up Josh, because he's a genius. Josh is a genius. But let's start off talking about Frankie de Jong. I mentioned we were going to talk about Frankie de Jong, and we were going to talk about some new news, conflicting reports when it comes to Frankie de Jong, the situation from that. So yesterday, outlets and reports in Spain were saying that Frankie de Jong has been put on the market by FC Barcelona. Now, we kind of knew that to maybe be the case when it came to the whole financial situation. Barca, we know that basically at the end of June, they've got to raise money, raise funds. The economic situation there at Barcelona is pretty dire. They've already signed new people that they've somehow got to register, whether it's Christensen, Kessie, etc. Plus, they've got new contracts that they've renegotiated. So they need to find the money to make all of this transfer stuff happen at the end of June. And to do that, to raise those funds, it looks like Frankie de Jong is going to be one of the people they're looking to offload. So as I mentioned yesterday, it was reported that Barcelona have put de Jong up for sale. So United fans would say, well, and what's really the new news there? Because we've kind of always known that he's going to be up for sale. Well, the interesting part of that is kind of the conflicting reports that are coming out from Barcelona themselves. So Edward Romeu, who is Barcelona's economic director, said, and I quote, "We have not budgeted for the sale of players. Frankie de Jong, if he leaves, it's a technical decision and not an economic one. But I repeat, we have planned no departure." Interesting. Very interesting comment there. Now, it was also reported out in Spain that Xavi, of course, the Barcelona manager, has spoken with Frankie de Jong and explained that his possible departure would be conditioned by the economic situation, which, again, is completely confusing because it's in complete contradiction to what that Barcelona financial director has just said. Xavi's talking to the player, by all reports, saying, well, if you do go, it's going to be because of the financial mess we're in. But you've also got the Barcelona financial director saying, well, we're not budgeting for Frankie de Jong to be leaving the club as well. So it's all just a complete mess from that perspective. Now, those reports continue about this conversation that Xavi has reportedly had with Frankie de Jong, saying that when Xavi spoke to Frankie de Jong, he made it clear he was counting on him, but also the club were not too happy with his performance and did expect more from the midfielder. And the economic context was complicated, therefore his exit was possible. So it's one of those situations, isn't it, where you look at that and go, okay, it's a mess. That whole situation, that whole transfer situation when it comes to Frankie de Jong just appears to be just a complete mess. And in reality, where is the progression there? Where is the progression on this deal? And the answer is really nowhere. We're still in the same position that we were a day ago, a week ago, whenever this this transfer was first discussed, which I think was ironically the night that Ajax won the Eredivisie with Erik ten Hag, because I remember the guys were out there in Amsterdam and the report was just breaking at that time that Frankie de Jong, I think it was Gerard Romero, was saying that Frankie de Jong to Manchester United was 95% done or something of that nature. This deal is certainly not 95% done by any stretch of the imagination, because Barca don't want to sell him. He might be on the transfer list. He might not be on the transfer list. They don't really want to sell him, but the economic situation might be there. By all accounts, they haven't even budgeted for players as well. Let's not even talk about he doesn't want actually to come to Manchester United because we don't have Champions League football to offer him this season as well. So it's just, this whole situation is just a mess. And there's a super chat from DJ, big up DJ in the chat, who's saying, again, United embroiled in a saga. And that is, it's actually quite a good segue there, DJ. Appreciate that, because it's exactly what I was going to say. It's exactly what I was going to say, because this is my concern. And I understand that the transfer window isn't open yet. It opens, next Friday? Friday's the 10th, I think it is. Yes, a week today. A week today, the transfer window officially opens. And I would be shocked that the transfer window does open this time next week and United have some business that they're going to be confirming as done, because I just see this De Jong situation as yet another saga that Manchester United are involved in, yet another transfer thing that's going to rumble on and on and on and on. We spoke about this before. We just don't have time. We don't have the time for it. We spoke about before, how long do we beg Frankie de Jong for to come to Manchester United? When do we want this deal done by? You know, KG was saying the other day that he's happy for us to be begging Frankie de Jong until the end of the transfer window. But at this stage, are we even going to get that far? Because this whole deal really hinges on Barcelona. This whole deal hinges on Barcelona's financial problems right now. And I don't even think they're fully aware of what they're going to do right now when it comes to this financial situation that they're in. They don't want to sell Frankie de Jong. They're trying to figure out if they can keep him. Xavi's spoken to the player and said, well, we're not totally happy with your performance. I would rather you stay. And Frankie's like, well, if you'd rather me stay, I want to stay. He said it in the interview that he did the other day, didn't he? That, well, the club haven't told me anything. Now, this is a couple of days later, so maybe that conversation has happened, but he's also currently on international duty. So whether or not you believe any of these reports, that's up to you. And again, I laugh when I say that, because it's, as DJ mentions there, it's already yet another saga. And I do wonder and I do worry, when do we have to make that call? When do we have to make that judgment call of, okay, you know, we really wanted you, Frankie, and you are a great player, and obviously Erik ten Hag knows you really well. Erik ten Hag wants you, but this is just so messy. This is such a messy deal, and it's one thing to be embroiled in this sort of drama for a player that does ultimately want to come to Manchester United. We might be getting involved in this transfer saga for a player that isn't even that keen on going. And if he is pushed out of the club, he might not want to come to us. And that's the real drama about this situation. And when I see these reports of, you know, him being put up for sale, or the club are open to offers, or Manchester United are in direct talks, which was the report from Fabrizio Romano the other day, I'm still looking for where is that progression? Where is that next step? Because I'm still feeling very cold. Honestly, if you asked me my opinion of this transfer deal, how are you feeling about this transfer deal right now, Owen? I'm still feeling really cold on it. And again, as I have to stress this has nothing to do with ability. Obviously, Frankie de Jong coming into Manchester United improves us dramatically. Frankie de Jong makes our midfield better in terms of the way that Erik ten Hag wants to play at Manchester United. Frankie de Jong maybe is that six that we're looking for. Maybe he's not the defensive midfielder we're looking for. You would argue that maybe he might still need that destroyer in midfield as well, but certainly the six that Erik ten Hag is looking for, Frankie de Jong fits that mold. So it's not a case of ability of why I'm cold on this deal. I'm cold on this deal because we've seen it. We've seen it before. Now, I think back to when Manchester United, I can't remember what year this was, when we were trying to buy Cesc Fabregas. Remember that? We were still at Barcelona. And Barca didn't have the economic issues they have right now, so it's slightly different. It's apples to oranges, I know. But I remember at that time, every single time you turned on Sky Sports News, Kaveh Solokar would be there doing the whole United want, and he would like really emphasize Cesc Fabregas. You'd go, oh, this is great. We're linked to Cesc Fabregas. And every time out of Barcelona or out of Spain, you would hear these reports going, you're not interested. You don't want to come. And guess what? He didn't. He didn't come to Manchester United in the end. And I just feel like that could be what we see here, that we get to the end of the summer and the player doesn't come and we go, why did we chase? Why did we chase for so long? And I think the reason we're chasing and we believe is because of the financial situation. We believe that he could be shoved. He could be shoved in our direction. He'll be pushed like that. And as he's falling, Erik ten Hag will have his arms open out like this to catch him and say, look, I've got you. You can come to Manchester United. And I, as a fan, just want to see something in the coming days and weeks that makes me believe, from Frankie de Jong's perspective, that he wants to come to Manchester United. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm already sort of like, this is a saga. This is a saga. But it'll be interesting to see what you guys are saying in the live chat as well. Alex says, Owen, this sort of deal will take a lot of time. A lot of factors to sort out. Barca need to tell Frankie he has to go like they did with Messi. What we got here? Tabarez says, big up to Owen. Is he awake? Oh, he is awake. I am awake, yes. By definition, I'm talking here. If this was one dramatic, like sleepwalking exercise, then that would be impressive. That would be impressive, including the setup as well. Josh is sleepwalking as well. But yes, we are awake on this bank holiday Friday at this time. DJ with another super chat says, we need to start looking for alternatives. I would agree. I would hope, and logic would say, and logic and Manchester United don't really go together that well, it must be said. But logic would hope that we do have a backup plan for Frankie de Jong, because we know, as Alex said there previously, it is a complicated deal to do. And because it's a complicated deal to do, we should be very aware that this still really might not happen. And if it doesn't happen, we need to have that alternative, whether that is Ruben Neves, whether that is someone else. As I mentioned on Tuesday, when I was on the Flex and KG show, that my concern would be if, let's say, for hypothetical sake, Ruben Neves is the backup to the Frankie de Jong situation. I just hope we don't wait too long, realize that de Jong isn't going to leave Barca, or Barca find a solution. Because let's face it as well, I know it's a lot of money that Barca have to make up, but if they do find that solution to the situation, then we're stuck. Because we were like, oh, we put all of our eggs in the de Jong basket, and now what are we going to do? That could be a real situation as well. My hope would be is that we don't get to that situation, and then someone like a Ruben Neves, he's already gone to Arsenal, or he's already gone to somewhere else, and we're like, who are we going to get? And we get into panic stations, and we either do a panic buy, or we get no one. And let's face it, either option is not good. We definitely can't get to the end of the summer and be like, oh, that midfielder situation, we were going for de Jong, and it never happened in the end. And let's just hope. That's what we're in the situation right now. Let's just hope it doesn't get to that situation. But that's the latest when it comes to Frankie de Jong. So let us know what you think in the chat as well. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner as well. Let me know where you're watching from on this Friday morning too. Let's move on and talk about centre-back options. Yesterday, we were talking about Jurrien Timber, and we were talking about Timber doubts, weren't we? We were saying that Timber possibly has some doubts when it comes to signing for Manchester United this summer. It was reported out there in Holland by Mike Verwey. This is the way. Every morning, I'm going to try and get that in. I'm feeling the Star Wars situation right now. But he was reporting yesterday that that Ajax rather, are confident, or have a bit more confidence that Timber could stay this summer and he could sign a new contract with Ajax, because Timber reportedly is having some doubts about joining United over fears that he could go to the club, not settle, or not have that nailed down first team starting role in the club. And because of that, he could possibly miss out on a World Cup spot later this year. And he knows if he stays at Ajax, he's playing every single game. Louis van Gaal will be watching, and he'll be on the plane to Qatar, and he'll have possibly a starting role in Qatar. Maybe. I mean, you've got some strong centre-back competition there in the Dutch squad of Virgil van Dijk and De Ligt as well. But nevertheless, He wants to be in that World Cup squad, and he worries if he goes to Manchester United, that might not happen. So, of course, United, we spoke about alternatives and backup plans when it comes to De Jong. United do have a backup plan in centre-back for the centre-back signing this summer, and that would be Braga's Portuguese defender David Carmo. Now, if you're not familiar with him, we can get Carmo's stats up on the screen in a couple of seconds, and it will give a bit more insight to the defender from Braga. Now, you can see on the screen right there, he's 22 years old. Of course, he's currently at Braga. He does play centre-back. The fee has been not really put out there. Some reports, depending on the outlets that you're looking for, saying around 40 million, which is pretty much the same price that has been quoted for Timber. The Timber price or valuation has varied a lot over the last few weeks. It's varied from 30 million euros all the way up to like 50 or possibly even 60 million euros. David Carmo, from the reports that I could find online, the price that's been quoted again is around 40 million euros. It might be a little bit less than that. But it has been reported previously that United were interested in him. Samuel Luckhurst reported at the beginning of the month that although Ajax centre-backs Jurrien Timber is manager Erik ten Hag's preferred choice, United have had 2 rounds of discussions with Braga centre-half Carmo's representatives. Now, Carmo is believed to be a fullback option for Manchester United. Again, that was reported by Samuel Luckhurst of the Manchester Evening News at the time. And it's no coincidence, certainly, that today Ekrem Kona's coming out and saying that Manchester United are interested in the Braga centre-half. And I think, again, that has a lot to do with this renewed doubt around Jurrien Timber. And to be honest, I mean, you can let me know if you know better about David Carmo than myself. I'm not going to... I always say when it comes to transfers, I do what everyone else will do. I maybe won't go as far as what KG will do. Watch a couple of YouTube compilations and go, he's the best player in the world. I'm not going to go that far. But I do what everyone else does. I look online, look at his stats, look at his last season, etc. And it looks to be a decent option, I suppose. The thing is with transfers is you never know, right? You never know with transfers. But it does fill me with some sense of confidence or reassurance. That's the word I'm looking for. Some sense of reassurance that at least there is a backup option there. I don't want to be in a situation, as I mentioned with Frankie de Jong previously. I don't want to be in that situation whereby we're getting to the end of the transfer window and we get nobody because we put all of our eggs in one basket. We went, yeah, we want Frankie de Jong. It's only Frankie de Jong. We're going to get Frankie de Jong, and then it doesn't happen. It could be the same with Jurrien Timber. It's quite surprising because the Timber deal did feel like the most straightforward deal to do. It felt like that was definitely going to be our first signing that we made. Not that anything's ever nailed on. There was reports that Bayern Munich were also interested in Timber, but it felt like we were definitely the front runners. Obviously, Erik ten Hag's been with Timber for the last however many years, and certainly in recent weeks and months, whilst he's known he was going to be the next Manchester United manager, he could have those informal discussions. Those reports had come out that the Timber representatives had met with the Manchester United representatives in London at the Mayfair office, and it just felt like that was a deal that was going to be done. That was a deal that was going to be done relatively quickly. The player wanted it, the manager wanted it. Ajax didn't obviously want to lose the defender, but it felt like that was going to be the first transfer signing. And with the reports yesterday saying there are doubts, we have to look at alternatives. We've got too much business to do this summer to be wasting our time, and it might sound slightly disrespectful when you talk about the players, but wasting our time in really prolonged discussions of players that maybe are having doubts. Now, again, I think the doubts... It just goes to show where we are at the moment, doesn't it? And I mentioned this yesterday. Of course, us as Manchester United fans, when we hear that such and such a player is linked to United, you think, oh, if I was them, of course I would join Manchester United. Why wouldn't I join Manchester United? Because we're Manchester United fans. But it speaks volumes, certainly, doesn't it? It speaks major volumes that two of the players that we're after, De Jong and Timber, they both have doubts about joining us. That shows where we are right now. We're not at our peak. And even, post Sir Alex, those first few years after Sir Alex retired, because Manchester United was still, Manchester United at the time, we were still able to sign those big players. Louis van Gaal's first season, when we signed the Galacticos, Di Maria, Falcao, etc. We signed those players. They didn't work out, obviously, but we signed those players because they thought, Manchester United, big club, they're interested in me. And it was still only a couple of years prior that we'd won titles. Now we're looking at a situation where it's been nearly a decade since we won a title. And younger players who aren't used to seeing Manchester United win stuff, certainly win titles, they have their doubts, they have their reservations. And we have to be conscious of that as a club. We have to be conscious of these deals. They might take a lot of convincing, or they just might not work out. And if they don't work out, we've got to have our list of alternatives. And we might have to be looking at this profile of player. How many times have we said previously, or certainly I have in recent weeks, talking about the N'Golo Kante thing, of we need to find the next N'Golo Kante, or we need to find the sort of lesser-known players, or players that are younger with a lesser-known reputation or smaller profile, bring them to the club, and then it's sink or swim settings. Can you adapt to Manchester United? Are you good enough for Manchester United? Now, hopefully, the scouting network and the scouting system would be familiar enough with the players and would have scouted them enough, would have knowledge and information on them to know that they can sink or swim at United. But that's the situation we're in right now. I can't say whether David Carmo can come to Manchester United and be like, yes, he's exactly the player we're looking for. But the situation we're in is we have to take a risk on some of these players, these younger, lesser-known players, and see if they work out. That's the situation at the moment. So, interesting one with Karma. Again, I think obviously United's first priority is certainly Jurrien Timber. If it doesn't work out, though, it is reassuring to know that we do have a backup plan in place right there. A couple of people in the chat as well. VK saying, greetings to you, Owen, and everyone from sunny Bangkok. Wow, of course, Manchester United are going to be there in the summer as part of the pre-season tour, which is going to be interesting. And it's going to be interesting to see which players we bring with us there. Could we have a Frankie de Jong by that point? What's that? Mid-July? I don't even know if the Frankie de Jong one's going to be done by mid-July. Timber, maybe. I don't know. Odom says, how are Newcastle and Aston Villa able to sign good players without Europe? Well, I think definitely money involved in that one. Not that we haven't got money. You could argue competence as well. Certainly Newcastle are putting in, they've got a new sporting director of football. They're putting people in that role that are competent at that situation as well, you could argue. I think the Aston Villa ones, in fairness, it must be said, like the Kamara one and the defender they signed, that to me feels like they were done a long time ago. I know people look at those and say, oh, why didn't United sign them? I saw something that Kamara was on like 170k a week at Aston Villa. That is wild. That is a substantial amount of money. And frankly, if he came into Manchester United and was on that amount of money, I would say, a lot of money. And we talk about those wages and that wage structure. When you're Aston Villa, like the pressure's on Aston Villa now, let's be honest. They've got to perform next season. They didn't turn up any trees this past season, did they, with Steven Gerrard? And that's going to be a very interesting season for him, certainly. Let's talk about departures from Manchester United, and let's talk about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. As I mentioned at the top of the show, looks to be a player that is going to be leaving this summer. Reportedly has been told by Erik ten Hag that he's not in his plans for Manchester United going forward. And Fabrizio Romano has said that Manchester United are waiting on proposals for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So it seems more and more likely that Wan-Bissaka is going to be on his way out of the club. It had been reported previously that Crystal Palace was an option. I'm not sure I've heard any other club be linked to Wan-Bissaka. It feels like Palace was the likely destination. The prior reports had said that maybe a permanent transfer was kind of not going to happen because Wan-Bissaka is on big wages, or it's a difficult deal to do. It was possibly a loan deal, but possibly that loan deal could be made permanent. Either way, it looks like Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going to be leaving the club this summer. Obviously, Diogo Dalot has been told, and we've seen all of these reports as well, that Dalot has been told that he's a big part of the plans and he's got a good chance to stay, and Erik ten Hag likes him and wants him at the club. Of course, though, it then does lead into the next situation, which is, okay, if Wan-Bissaka's going to go, who is going to be that backup right back that comes in? Now, people are saying Laird, possibly, but it does look like we'd be recruiting a player for that backup role, or say backup role just to compete with Diogo Dalot. Who's to say that? I'm not sold on Dalot either. We did the Keep or Sell the other day, and I think Dalot went in the... Did Dalot go in the Sell section? I think he did, because in an ideal world, I'd replace every fullback at Manchester United. I'd replace Wan-Bissaka, I'd replace Dalot, I'd replace Telles, I'd replace Shaw. Because I think in comparison to the top clubs in the Premier League, they're just nowhere near. Absolutely nowhere near. And the fullback, wingback, whatever position you want to call it, has evolved so much now that you need the complete player. You need the complete player at fullback. It's beyond a speciality position at this point. You know, previously it was about defending. Then it became about maybe just attacking. But now it's about defending, attacking, starting moves, finishing moves, an unbelievable amount of assists, goals. You know, you've got someone like Trent, you know, and I know his defensive deficiencies are there to see, certainly, but he's, you know, basically like a playmaker at fullback. This is just like completely, the position has been completely revolutionized in recent years, to the point of when United signed Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Flex says this all the time, that when we signed him, he was happy, and I was as well. I thought this is a good signing, an up-and-coming player from the Premier League. This is going to be a good signing. And it's almost like the position just passed him by. You know, people can say, oh, his defensive qualities are there to be seen, and I guess they somewhat are, but that's not enough. That's not enough just for just the modern fullback, let alone a fullback at Manchester United. So it hasn't worked out. And again, that's why I talk about Diogo Dalot, because I think Dalot as well, I mentioned the fullback needs to be the complete player. And I don't know if we necessarily see that from him either. A couple other things I do want to talk about before we wrap things up here. I want to talk about coaches at Manchester United, because Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail is saying that Erik ten Hag's assistants, Mitchell van der Gaag and Steve McLaren, of course, are going to be replacing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's number 2, Mike Phelan, and Ralf Rangnick's backroom team. Oh, he's not happy. He's not happy. Now, it's interesting. I don't know if he's saying disgraceful because of the likes, or if that's actually Mr. Phelan. Was that Mr. Phelan? Yes. It's Mr. Phelan talking. Josh isn't even here at this point. They've left. Different people, different rooms. Maybe that's what we need to do at some point over the summer. We need to announce that Mike Phelan is United View's latest signing. We need to have a full-on press conference. Him holding up a UV shirt. Ideas. You heard it here first. Nevertheless, as I mentioned, Van der Gaag and Steve McLaren are replacing Mike Phelan and Ralf Rangnick's backroom staff, but at least one more first-team coach is expected to follow. Now, it must be said, like, it hasn't said who, and you could argue that story in itself is completely meaningless and worthless, because we know. It's been announced that Van der Gaag and Steve McLaren are coming in. Hasn't been announced that Phelan's going, but Steve McLaren is the new Mike Phelan. Maybe Steve's going to be making some appearances on the channel soon. I don't know, with his Dutch accent. And we all knew that Ralf Rangnick's backroom staff weren't going to be staying anyway, because nobody has made an impression worth staying. Like, I don't think we're going to see Chris Armas with the AirPods in next season. I don't think we're going to see anything like that. One of Ralf Rangnick's backroom staff was working for free from Moscow. He was working 2 jobs at once. It was unbelievable. So we don't know who that first-team coach is going to be. Of course, previous links were Rene Mullerstein, Robin Van Persie, just basically anyone that's got a connection to Manchester United and is Dutch, apparently, could be coming in. I think the Van Persie one was linked before, but I think it was effectively ruled out because he wouldn't be able to get a work permit because of the whole situation now of work permits being a lot stricter when it comes to Brexit and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think that's possible. Rene Mullerstein, he got a lot of positive accolades when he was at Manchester United. I think people like Roy Keane, etc., all said that his training sessions were fantastic. Bear in mind, that was a decade ago. Things have moved on. But to have him back at the club wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing as well. So keep an eye out for that one, because we might be talking about a new coach in the next couple of days. And finally, this is always just fascinating, isn't it? Now, obviously, the last couple of days we've spoken about all of these departures from Manchester United, their contracts coming to an end and leaving. It was Cavani, Pogba, Lingard, Mata, Matic. Is there any more there? There's definitely going to be more. Nevertheless, come July 1st, when all of those contracts are finished and all of those people have officially left the club, Manchester United will wipe in the region of £1 million per week off the wage bill. How insane is that? £1 million per week off the wage bill. Now, that's one, it's good to know because we always say every single summer for the last few years, get rid of the deadwood, get rid of the deadwood. We need people leaving. They're just not playing. They're on big wages or whatever. So that's half of it done. As I mentioned before, it's half of the equation done. That's great. But the real problem is, are we going to invest it back into the side? Is this going to be invested back on players? Are we going to be bringing in new players with that savings? Or is it just going to be a case of more money for us, more money for the board? Because that's some Glazonomics that I think they'll very much enjoy. But it's all about replacing them. We can't, obviously we talk about, Pogba, we talk about Lingard, we talk about all those people leaving, but it also is important that some of them legitimately do need replacing. And that money has to go towards those savings, certainly, doesn't it? But yes, there's, as mentioned, that's the latest Manchester United transfer news. I'm concerned, as I mentioned, that we are getting involved in a saga with Frankie de Jong. I'm concerned about that. Hopefully, obviously, a week today, the transfer window does officially open. How long before Manchester United do any kind of official business? Time will tell, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. I'm out of here, and I hope you have a great Friday. Peace.